Hello all, welcome back to another video and welcome to Sammy G's World of Cinema. Today on the channel I'm gonna do another monthly watches video. Basically I'm just gonna go through all the movies that I've watched in the month of March. Just a great way to bring like my letterbox sort of like diary over to like this a channel as well, and talking with you guys all the movies I've watched in the month of March. And I know my very good friends Jordan at Movie Worm and James at Movie Bug have kind of inspired me to do this, and Jodie and Roy with their weekly watches, and Ollie as well. There's so many great guys out there that's kind of inspired me to like start doing like these videos and stuff. So yeah, also Tim has been doing a great job with his weekly watches as well. So guys, it's gonna be a mighty video, so make sure you grab yourself a drink or something, or like a hot beverage. So we kick-started March with potentially one of my first body horror, hammer horror movies, and that is a film called The Reptile. Yeah, I watched this at the start of the month and I thought this was great. I just think there was a really good story attached to this, you know, just learning about this mystery around this, this sinister, reptile, and just this couple that go on, a holiday, and then things start to escalate from there really. And this mansion has got a real brooding presence about it. A couple of scenes made me jump out of my skin, which for a film from this year as well was very, very impressive as well. But the final act is just mesmerizing. It's a really cool film. That The Reptile, I'm gonna give a 7.5 out of 10 to. I thought this film was pretty brilliant. Then I had a rewatch of The Good, Bad and the Ugly on VHS. I really absolutely love this movie, guys. Just my favorite Western of all time. Can't wait to see what Arrow Video are gonna do with this brand new release coming out. I think it's in June, but we are getting Fistful of Dollars and then for a few dollars more, which obviously makes sense in that order, doesn't it? But Good, Bad and the Ugly, absolutely just sublime. 10 out of 10, my favorite Western of all time, and one I would consider doing a review on at some point in the future. And it wasn't long back since I last watched this film as well. I think it was back in January from as a pre-birthday viewing. So Good, Bad and the Ugly, just one of the greatest movies ever. That continued on with the Rocky film series, and I watched Rocky 5, which I was warned that this was considered to be a little bit of a bad movie, you know, considered to be the weakest in the film series. And whilst I am in agreement with most people with the Rocky film series, I do think it is the weakest in the film series. I still had a pretty good time with this one. Yeah, I really enjoyed this one. Again, not a patch on the first 4 movies. It's certainly not on the level of the first 4 films, but I still had a very good time with this one. It was a bit cheesy and corny at times, but I just took it for what it was, guys, and I just had a pretty good time with it. And yeah, obviously Rocky returning to his hometown, and he's training up Tommy Gunn, you know, as well, as this new heavyweight champion. I thought it was a pretty good story. I can see why a lot of people wasn't a fan of the streets fight sequence. That bit didn't bother me as much, but I obviously do obviously prefer, obviously with it being in the ring in the first 4 movies. But Adrian played a really good part in this movie, where I really felt there was a couple scenes where she gave her heart and soul to a couple of the scenes in this movie, as she has done in the first 4 films as well. So yeah, Rocky 5, pretty entertaining time, not perfect but pretty entertaining. I'm gonna give Rocky 5 a 6.5 out of 10 too. Then I kind of started a bit of a phase where I was watching a lot of rom-coms and American comedies, which, majority of which we are going to get onto later in the video. But I guess this was kind of the start of that this month. And this is a film that Ollie kindly sent me my way. So Ollie, thank you very much, buddy, for that. I really do appreciate that. And that is the film Last Chance Harvey with Dustin Hoffman and Emma Thompson, who were both also in Stranger Than Fiction, which is a film I love to revisit that one again. And Last Chance Harvey, yeah, I must admit, I was thinking, is this movie going to be a bit cliche or any good? But actually, this was actually a nice surprise. I really quite liked this one, funny enough. It was not amazing, not anything groundbreaking. It wasn't breaking any new ground. It was pretty self-aware. It knew what it was doing, but I just loved the sort of the screen time with Emma Thompson and Dustin Hoffman, who are both going through pretty that they're having not the best sort of, they're kind of in a bit of a shitty situation. Emma Thompson is obviously just getting constantly pestered with loads of phone calls, and then obviously Dustin Hoffman's character, he's on the verge of, his job he's under pressure, and his daughter is about to get married, but yet obviously that his family don't really have kind of gone off him, so he's not you really feel for the guy. He's not having he's having a really shite day, to be honest, in this film. But then when they both meet in the airport, Dustin Hoffman and Emma Thompson, it makes a really just sweet movie. Very predictable, as I kind of expected in some of these rom-coms, but I took it for what it was, and I had a very pleasing time with this one. Yeah, Last Chance Harvey, 6.5 out of 10 too. Very good time, that one. And then I had a rewatch of Rashomon from Akira Kurosawa. Now, this is a bit similar to The Seven Samurai and another movie I'm going to talk about where it wasn't love at first sight. Now, Rashomon was a movie I really liked, when I first saw it, but just wasn't the high score or on that level of other Akira Kurosawa films that I've seen prior to this. It wasn't like Ran or Dreams, where those movies were love at first sight. I didn't have the same connection with this film as I did with those other films. Seven Samurai, I'm really glad to say now I do absolutely love now. But Rashomon, I watched again, and yep, I loved this on rewatch. This was definitely much better on second viewing. It was just so well shot, so well narrated. We're following across the board. We're following on 4 perspectives, and there's so much they pack into this movie, across under 90 minutes. And yeah, it's a fantastic, beautiful movie where we're just focusing on it's a bit of a romance, and then there's a little bit of a samurai action feel about it. And yeah, and also it was quite dark as well. There was a bit of dark humour thrown in there, actually, I picked up on. But Rashomon, excellent movie, and yeah, that ending was pretty riveting as well. I'm gonna give Rashomon an 8 out of 10 too. Then I finally watched a film I had on Blu-ray, and it's been on the shelf for months now. Is it on the vintage classic label, the Studio Canal label, and that is a film called Fright with Susan George. And yeah, I've got a feeling now When a Stranger Calls is a movie that I'm gonna, really enjoy after watching this, because, this was pretty great, guys. I really enjoyed this one. I thought Susan George, her acting was amazing in this movie, and, very beautiful in this movie as well. And, she's, in a situation scenario where she's not really aware of this family's past, and she's a babysitter, but like someone in that family, she's not aware of like their past, and obviously there's a reoccurring thing in this movie where it kind of puts that character through the ringer, and they don't quite know what they're dealing with. And there was just so many twists and turns, there was really great writing to this one, very edgy stuff. But yeah, I love the setting with that big house, but also when you focus on the couple as well, and when they're on a date night, all that dialogue was just great to this one as well. Fright was a very good film, and kind of had a little bit of a reminiscence of Psycho from Alfred Hitchcock as well. Fright, I'm going to give a 7 out of 10 to. I thought this was a very good movie, this one. Omega Man from with Charlton Heston. And yeah, I must admit, this film I didn't particularly love, to be honest, guys. There were times in the movie where I was a bit bored, to be honest. Scenes that just dragged a little bit. There wasn't really much happening at times, but overall, I must admit, I thought it was very well acted. It was very solid, and I thought Charlton Heston was the absolute he was definitely at the driving seat with this movie. He really carried his weight with this movie, and I felt Charlton Heston was the one that really carried this movie for me. And it was a very interesting story with his character, but then when he met a couple of other characters in this movie, it became quite interesting, but then there was a few scenes that just didn't do it for me. But on the whole, I thought it was very interesting, the whole thing with the cults as well, and that tribe. I found it very it was a little bit dated, but I think it's still told a pretty interesting, side story in this post-apocalyptic sort of premise. So yeah, I would say in regards to remakes as well, I actually prefer what was it, I Am Legend. I just felt that was a little bit more up my alley. I did much prefer what was going on in that movie as well. I thought Will Smith and obviously him and his dog, I thought that was a much more interesting to watch, and obviously a movie I'm more familiar with, but it's still interesting to see where I Am Legend took big inspiration from. And if it wasn't for this movie, of course, we wouldn't have I Am Legend, so I have to give this movie props for that. But yeah, the Omega Man just wasn't a movie I loved, but I did quite like it at the same time, and I think it is one I can see myself much preferring on rewatch. When I compare this to something like the original Planet of the Apes, all day long is gonna have the most rewatchability for me, but still not taken away from the Omega Man. It's still a very interesting movie, and it's got an interesting premise, just is a bit let down by those pacing issues and just scenes that kind of dragged a little bit, but still a very solid film. The Omega Man, I'm going to give a 7 out of 10 to. The homework movie that I checked out from Ollie's live stream that was on earlier in the month, and that is a film called Sleepers, with a great cast, Dustin Hoffman, Brad Pitt, Robert De Niro, just an incredible almighty cast, and Kevin Bacon as well. And yeah, it was grim. It wasn't it, you know, at times it was definitely a bit grim, very depressing with some of the stuff that happens in this movie, but this film is brilliant as well, guys. This one did live up to the hype for me as well. Yeah, because there's been some of those big movies that hasn't always lived up to the hype for me on first viewing, but this one I'm very glad to say it did. You know, it's like we just learn about, you know, this group of friends, and you know they obviously they commit this crime, but then the way they get treated and stuff when they you know, like when they go, like, spends time in jail, in prison, but then when they come across obviously this police guard and a couple of the characters that work there, very tough experience, especially how they were, you know, like treated in this prison. And then years later, they, like when you see them growing up, they find evidence from, you know, like that when they were in prison, but find evidence of, you know, like this police, this prison guard and a couple of the characters that, you know, like treated them in, you know, very like very harshly, and there's a court like case around it as well, like years later, and you know, like they kind of like the group of friends kind of want to seek justice as well. And yeah, this is a really good movie, guys. And I feel as well, for a film that I think that clocks in for, I think it's under 2.5 hours, it sails by, really. The acting is just amazing. You know, like when we focus the first half on like the, you know, the time, I think it was like in the, I think it's at the 50s and 60s, and then in like present day in this film, it was very interesting how the film was like, you know, like laid out and stuff. And yeah, absolutely great movie that. Sleepers, I'm gonna give an 8 out of 10 to a film that didn't live up to the hype. And this is gonna be a bit of a hot take here. I watched Sorcerer for the first time from William Friedkin. Now, yeah, The Exorcist was a film that wasn't love at first sight, but it's a film I've really grown to appreciate more over time. And Cruising, I thought, was very solid, but it hasn't got much rewatchability. I don't know how I'm going to get on with William Friedkin as a director, guys. You know, as I say, The Exorcist is amazing. Cruising is a very solid film, but it's just not got much rewatchability. But this film, it bored me to tears, to be honest. And that might be sacrilege to say, because I know this is a really well-beloved movie. The thing I can give credit for this movie mainly is the score from Tangerine Dream, who I am a big fan of. And Roy Scheider is great, is really good in this movie. And, you know, I found it interesting that there's obviously... I think at the start, this film is set at 4 different countries, and then it brings like each person from each country together to like you know, like go on this like adventure. You know, I found that really like interesting in the way it's surrounding this like this truck, this lorry as well. All of that stuff was interesting. Oh, I think it was a bus actually, yeah, but yeah, I think it could be because I was a bit tired when I watched it, and, you know, there were times where I might have been falling asleep a little bit. But, yeah, it wasn't love at first sight for me, unfortunately, guys. But I do appreciate this is a really well-beloved film, and I'm really glad to know that this movie has its fans and it is a well-beloved movie. But just for me personally, and just my opinion, guys, it wasn't for me, this movie, unfortunately. However, I am going to keep the Blu-ray. I'm just sitting on this movie for a little while, and I think hopefully on second viewing, I will appreciate it a lot more. I'm thinking about doing a video where going through some movies that I didn't love at first, but then I appreciated a lot more on second viewing, and hopefully this will be the same case for this movie as well. But yeah, the movie looked great. There was great things to it, but it just wasn't for me, unfortunately, on that first viewing. Sorcerer, I'm going to give a 5.5 out of 10, which I know is sacrilege to say, and it is a bit of an unpopular opinion, but it could have just been caught me on the wrong day, this movie. I really don't know. Thankfully, a movie that I am a lot more fond of, though, and I have seen before, and I had a watch along of this film with Nige at Rock God 2004 and Andy at Forgotten World of Movies, and that is The Burning. From 1980, a video nasty as well, and came out, I think, was it 1980 or 1981? Similar time to, like, I think it was Sleepaway Camp and Friday the 13th as well, but yeah, absolutely fantastic film, this one, guys. You know, the main antagonist, the main slasher killer, he's brutal in this movie with the shears as well. You know, it's really just graphic, some of the shit that goes down in this movie. You're like, holy shit. You know, you really feel sorry for some of the characters and what they're put through, and, you know, like, they're gonna have this summer vacation that just goes absolute AWOL as soon as this slasher villain comes into the picture. But yeah, the characters were, there was a very interesting group of characters to this one. Yeah, like, again, I think the score from Rick Wakeman is great in this as well. I actually have seen Rick Wakeman live, and he was really good when I saw him live as well. But brutal final act as well, you know, like, when you see that, like, it all, like, pieced together, and, you know, like, again, like, the whole campfire story and how it kind of, like, it unfolds as well, and especially that final act, it is just mesmerizing. But this is a fantastic, like, video nasty, one of my favorite video nasties as well. The Burning, I'm gonna give an 8 out of 10 to. Then I decided to, with no pun intended, carry on with the Carry On film series. I haven't seen any of the Carry On films for many months now, and I thought it was about time, not because I ever went off the Carry On film series, just been meaning, you know, to get round to, like, get back into the Carry On film series, and that is Carry On Henry. I really enjoyed this one. Like most of the Carry On films, I really enjoyed, like, the British witty humour in this. Again, the Carry On film series, I've taken it for what it is. It's a product of its time, but it's just got a lot of charm to it as well. And Carry On Henry, I had a pretty good time with, you know, like, set at that Tudor periods, that, you know, like, that costume period, I found really interesting, and I did like the chemistry between Sid James and Joan Sims in this movie as well. Barbara Windsor, you know, very, like, good character in here as well. And there was one hilarious moment in this film with like, they're having, like, chicken dinner, I think it was, like, or like a feast, and the feast is not quite cooked. Oh, that was so funny, and it's just really daft humour that I absolutely cherish. Carry On Henry, I'm going to give a 6.5 out of 10 to. Possibly one of the best first time watches of the year so far, guys. Absolutely fell in love with this film. Again, guys, a bit like the film Sleepers, this was another movie that very much lived up to the hype for me. I absolutely fell in love with this movie. Roy actually was the one that really kind of sort of inspired me to check that movie out that week, because I know he watched his 4K copy. I've got the Blu-ray, but quite happy with the Blu-ray for now, to be fair. And that is, are you ready? North by Northwest. This was absolutely mind-blowingly brilliant. This was incredible. Cary Grant you're really rooting for his main character here, you know, accused of something he hasn't done. And there's a couple of other things that just keep going against his way, and you really feel sorry for him. You know, like he's just caught at the wrong time, the wrong place, and the wrong moment. And it, you know, like he's kind of like misunderstood, and you really feel for him. And then it kind of spirals into this bewildering adventure and journey, and it was just a wonderful movie to watch, and it kind of just goes to show what a fantastic director Alfred Hitchcock is. Just simply one of the greatest directors ever, and it is because of movies of this bulk, really. It is just incredible. The story was so original for its time. It was a very interesting take on like the spy subgenre as well. And Cary Grant, you know, like obviously one minute you see him in a car, and then he's running away from a plane, he's on a train, and you're really just rooting for him. And then when he meets the lady, the lass in the movie, and they have a really interesting side story in there. And when you meet James Mason's character, and you learn about his character and how it kind of interlinks with Cary Grant at the start, and with that side story, it was just absolutely brilliant. And the score from Bernard Herrmann as well is the chef's kiss. It is just delightful. North by Northwest, I'm going to give a 9.5 out of 10, guys. I thought this was absolutely just wonderful. The New York setting was brilliant in this movie as well. And yeah, just great dialogue. The acting, all the acting was just marvelous in this movie as well. I really liked the auction sequence in this as well, you know, like Cary Grant just constantly like debating, you know, like obviously with the panel. Fantastic movie. Like North by Northwest, woof, 9.5 out of 10 there. We had another first time watch, and this was really good as well, actually, guys. And I watched this on VHS. I watched my VHS copy of this, and that is Witness, starring Harrison Ford. Yeah, this movie gets a lot of love, and rightly so, because it is a very good movie, you know, like Harrison Ford as this police detective, and you kind of see a transition with his character, like joins this community in order to learn more about this like murder in this case. I found all of that stuff really interesting. Chemistry with the lady in there, all of that stuff was really fantastic to this movie. And you know, like when you learn about what this kid has witnessed in the movie, this murder, and you know, like it tells a very interesting story after that, and other things that just happen in the movie was just really fascinating to watch. And yeah, like the final scene, the final showdown was utterly superb to this movie as well, and it's just really well directed. Fantastic movie. I know Scott and Nige are a massive fan of this film as well, and it is brilliant. And this has just been announced as a 4K Arrow video release, and it was so funny because when I was talking about this on Ollie's channel, on Ollie's live stream recently, I said I would love it if Arrow could release this 4K release over here in the UK, and wow, well, what do you know, what coincidence, a week later it gets announced as a UK release. So Arrow must have been like listening to my prayer there almost. But yeah, great movie. Witness, I'm gonna give an 8 out of 10 too. I've kind of thought more about this over time, and you know, I was going to give this a 7.5 out of 10 too, which would have been a very good score anyway. But thinking about this more, guys, yeah, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. It is a really fantastic movie, this. And the next 3 films are all Newcastle based. Yeah, I went on a bit of a Newcastle based movie kick over that weekend in March, and the first one I've got to talk about is Purely Belter, which I think there's been like a stage play and like a musical based around this like film as well, which I think is really cool, which would be really cool to see, to be fair. And Purely Belter, really fun British flick, this one. It's got a lot of great comical aspects about it, and I really liked the banter in this movie, and both of these Geordie lads in this movie have very good like chemistry, and they get on really well. Their friendship is pretty cool to this one, and they're destined to one day finally get a season ticket for Newcastle United. I thought that was a very interesting take on like the football movie subgenre, and there was a couple of really funny scenes in there. One scene in like Lloyd's Bank, and one scene where they meet Alan Shearer, and they see Alan Shearer's car not too far away, and it had some really cool aspects about this movie, but also had a very interesting side story with this lad and his relationship with his dad and his mum as well. That was a very interesting side story to this. But great to see part of this movie was filmed in Whitley Bay, which is just down the road from me as well. So Purely Belter, I'm gonna give a 6.5 out of 10 to. A British rom-com set in Newcastle as well, and that is the one and only. I have to actually thank my friend Simon for recommending me this movie. Thank you, Si, I really do appreciate that. And the one and only, I really liked this one as well, actually. This one had a lot of charm to it. Set in Newcastle as well. I think part of it might be set in Tynemouth as well, actually. And it's really cool to see, again, another Northeast based movie. And I don't know if I would have stumbled upon this film if it wasn't for Simon, to be honest. And I had a very cool time with this one. Just a nice, light-hearted, cheesy little rom-com, this one. The main lady has a very cool story to her about her relationship and stuff with this footballer, and this footballer kind of has different ideas, and he's very ambitious, but she's not too sure how to feel about that. And then she meets this other guy played by, I think it's Richard Roxburgh, and they start to have a bit of a bond in there as well, and all of that stuff was very interesting in this film. And also there was a very interesting side story with Richard Roxburgh's character as well, where he him and his wife in the movie adopt a kid, and that was a pretty interesting side story. And then when something happens during the movie, how it kind of is led on to another interesting side story. It was a pretty entertaining movie. This one had a couple of really light-hearted witty moments in this movie. The one and only, I'm going to give a 6 out of 10 to. Pretty solid movie, that. As a fellow Evertonian, I was very delighted to see Newcastle United beating Liverpool in the Carabao Cup final. I decided to rewatch the First Goal movie, also set in Newcastle. And I get this film has its problems. It does have its flaws. There is a couple of things that I think kind of were a little bit, factually incorrect sort of thing. A couple of things that we said here and there that I was like, that's not very correct though, isn't it? But other than that though, taking it for what it was still an interesting sort of self-aware sort of movie around this footballer who's got this big dream to play for Newcastle United, and then you kind of see like the steps and the like the kind of like the journey that he's on in order to like play with the first team for Newcastle. See like the build up and that, and it's really, yeah, it was pretty interesting. But also there was quite a nice like little love story in this movie as well that I liked in this movie. And yeah, I thought the guy who played the Newcastle's manager in this film, I thought he had a really good like sort of like sarcastic like wittiness about his character, and I did like his character in this film as well. And the guy who played the main other footballer, the main striker in this movie as well, yeah, I thought his character, you know, had a bit of a interesting like story to this one as well. So yeah, decent little football movie. That one goal I'm gonna give a 6 out of 10 to. A first time watch and a cinema trip for me. I went to Tyneside Cinema to go and see this film, part of David Lynch season, and that is the original Dune from David Lynch, which I went to go and see at Tyneside Cinema. Yeah, like a couple weeks back now. And yeah, again guys, it's nothing perfect, you know, it does have its problems, and you know, the editing is a little bit hokey at times in this movie, I will admit, but I still found it a very interesting sort of like presentation of Frank Herbert's Dune in this movie. It was a great cast. There's some great like visual aspects of this movie as well, and just of its time, and just the way the film was narrated. And there was, you know, like the visuals to this movie I found pretty interesting and mesmerising. You know, some visual aspects kind of reminded me something along the lines of 2001 as well. And then when you see like kind of the build up and transition with one character to the next, and kind of this whole like back history in the movie, all of that stuff was interesting. And the whole some of the practical effects around like this sandworm and like a couple of other like characters was interesting to this one as well. And yeah, there was a couple of really like fun comical aspects as well. The scene with the sword fight, how that sword fight played out in the movie. Denis Villeneuve's Dune, of course, is the far superior movie. Actually, I haven't seen part 2 yet, but I've heard nothing but incredible things about that film. But yeah, very interesting portrayal and presentation of Frank Herbert's Dune with this, and great to see David Lynch do something out of the blue and out of the ordinary compared to like his other films, which I am a big fan of as well. So Dune, I'm going to give a 6 out of 10 to there. And the next one was an exciting new release from Arrow, and a film I haven't seen for absolute years, guys. We're talking about 12, 13 years ago since I last watched this film, and quite a you know, like a real popular movie for its time as well, and it's getting a lot of love of late, of course, due to the wonderful Arrow 4K edition, and that is Deep Blue Sea. I had a really great time with this one on rewatch, you know, like the experiment with these sharks that just goes absolute to pop. And, you know, like this scientist that has these big ideas and this ambitions that just doesn't quite wash in this movie. And, you know, there was a couple of really intense moments in this film as well. A couple of jump scares as well. Obviously, that famous scene as well, like midway through the movie. And, you know, like the battle for survival in this movie was a very interesting, take on the shark subgenre in this. And yeah, like some really badass moments with him, LL Cool J, and then Safa Burrows and Thomas Jane as well. And like the whole thunderstorm in this movie that just really creates like this whirlpool of attention for like these characters as well, and puts them through the ringer, knowing that they've got these anonymous sharks to like deal with, and yeah, especially the knowing of this experiment that just goes absolute AWOL. And yeah, I found some of the score was really pretty good to this one as well, that really, you know, like drive the tension like to third gear. So yeah, Deep Blue Sea, awesome or jawsome movie, and I had a very good time with this one on rewatch. I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10 there. Then I watched another Paddy Considine movie that I've never seen, and definitely a fantastic like sort of bleak, depressing, but yet really brilliant, you know, drama, and that is the film Tyrannosaur. Yeah, one that I've been meaning to watch for ages now, and it took me a long time to get round to this one, but wow, brilliant movie this one, guys. You know, Olivia Colman and Peter Mullen were absolutely the absolute standouts to this movie. They were incredible, you know, like I absolutely loved their chemistry in this movie, and you really see what Peter Mullen's character is going through on a day-to-day basis with him grieving, but also these like absolute knobhead neighbours as well that are absolute, you know, absolute nasty bastards, you know, like to deal with. You know, they're really not nice characters, and you know, like he's wanting to stand up for like he's like rights and stand up for one or two characters in this movie, and yeah, like, and then Olivia Colman has a really interesting side story of this with like her marriage, and you know, like she's religious, and you know, she's got like faith, that full faith that things will work out for Peter Mullen's character, and then kind of like things are just kind of flip it on its head, really. Yeah, it's a really fantastic drama, this one, and the acting is incredible, and Paddy Considine again with this and Journeyman, both great directorial movies here. Tyrannosaur, I'm gonna give an 8 out of 10 too. Then I went back into VHS mode again, and I decided to watch another Brian De Palma movie, and one of the other Brian De Palma movies that I haven't seen as of yet until now, and that is Sisters, which I think the Arrow Blu-ray release of this is long out of print now, and yeah, watched this like a couple of weeks ago, and yeah, sure enough, this was really good as well. Had a bit of a Hitchcockian like aesthetic to this one, a really great like mystery sort of a story to this one, and then, you know, learning about the mystery of these twins, but also this murder as well. You know, there was the two things just were put together and told a really interesting sort of like story to this movie. And obviously this like neighbor that has watched and seen this like scene of the crime, and she's witnessed something, but yet no one else believes her. And yeah, all of that stuff was really interesting. Felt a bit like an Alfred Hitchcock movie at this one, and yeah, I felt there was a lot to be like engrossed by here, you know, like again from like this crime story, this backstory with the twins, but also learning more about like this neighbor who has seen this scene of the crime as well. And the main other guy in there played a very interesting side character to this one as well, like his presence and what he's capable of. The film I'm gonna give a 7.5 out of 10 too. I went to the cinema, and this time I went to the Odeon Silverlink with my very good friend Ryan, and actually it was the first time I went to the Odeon Silverlink as well, which is great cinema actually. I would definitely go there again. And this is a Danny Dyer's brand new movie, and that is Marching Powder. And yeah, I really liked this one. Not getting the best reception or the best reviews, but I kind of took it for what it was. Rom-com with a kick, which pretty much is the best way to describe this movie. And yeah, just Danny Dyer had a very interesting main character to this one. And you learn about his brother that is just recently being released from prison. And there's a lot that he has to deal with into one basket. And you really see what he's having to deal with in this movie. And yeah, I thought it was a very interesting movie, this one. Had some quite laugh out loud moments in there where me and Ryan actually in the cinema, we did laugh out loud a couple of times as well. A couple of really funny scenes in this movie as well. And yeah, this was a very interesting, British rom-com, this one. And yeah, it's kind of reminded me a couple of other Danny Dyer movies I need to check out, like The Business and Outlaw, I believe. And yeah, had a very enjoyable time with this one. Just very self-aware, this film, and it just knows what it's doing. And it had actually a pretty good soundtrack to this one as well. And it had a very interesting subplot with the whole football hooligan stuff that went on in this movie. Very much reminded me a bit of The Football Factory, which is a really entertaining movie. And football wise, and the romance side of the movie kind of reminded me a little bit of Fever Pitch. Yeah, obviously Fever Pitch has a bit of a different feel compared to this movie, of course. But yeah, just in terms of the couple of the subjects with football and romance, it kind of just reminded me a little bit of that, but obviously kind of different aspects compared to Fever Pitch with this movie as well. But yeah, very entertaining movie. Marching Powder, I'm going to give a 6.5 out of 10. A film that I discovered through Roy at Blue Roy Movies. And yeah, I picked this one up because it was another film that was set in Newcastle, and not seen or heard of this one before until I watched Roy's video where he talked about this one as well. And that is a film called Payroll. Now, yeah, this was pretty good actually. I quite liked this one. Yeah, where they go on a bank robbery, and you see kind of the outcomes and consequences along the way, and how things can get a little bit bitter and twisted when they make these rash decisions for each of these robbers, and this crime underworld organization. I found that really interesting. There was a couple of interesting side stories as well where we focus on a couple of the main characters from this this crime organization, and learn about how this sort of scheme and this robbery is affecting kind of their each of their relationships with their wives and stuff. And I found it really interesting, and there was some aspects of the movie that reminded me a little bit of Get Carter, funny enough, as well. Really liked the setting as well, with a monument and Lloyd's Bank as well at the start of the movie, and also heading down to Grey Street as well. I found all of that stuff really interesting, and across the Tyne Bridge as well, and the Swing Bridge, which of course played a fantastic part into Get Carter as well. And yeah, really liked this one. And Roy told me part of this movie as well was set at Morecambe, I believe, or was it Morecambe or Rugby? Which that's very interesting to know that as well. And the ending, wow, the ending, I did not expect that as well, with that, that drastic turnaround, with one or two of the characters, found all that stuff really interesting. One character is has a bit of a different, sort of approach to this big thing that happens from the start of the movie. You kind of don't expect it, considering what how the character you kind of knew at sort of like at the start or at the sort of the beginning of the film. And yeah, I really liked this one. Payroll, I'm going to give a 6.5 out of 10 to. Another film that Ollie kindly sent my way, and that is and I've watched this one on Blu-ray. Again, thank you so much, Ollie. Really do appreciate that. And this is kind of, I think this or the next film is kind of what started my sort of rom-com or American comedy binge, because yeah, like there's a fair few of these American comedies that is coming up on the list, I can tell you. And this film I've never seen. I love both of the actors, Jim Carrey and Ewan McGregor. Love both of these actors. And, you know, Jim Carrey has starred in a couple of my favourite films of all time with The Truman Show and Eternal Sunshine. And Ewan McGregor in the Star Wars prequels, but also Trainspotting is one of my favourite films of all time. So I had to watch this film pretty quick, and that is the film I Love You, Philip Morris. Yeah, I really liked this one. Yeah, very good, like comedy drama, this one. And you know, like I thought this was really well narrated from like Jim Carrey's character, you know, like where he spends a bit of time in prison, and then, you know, like he's a bit of a con artist where like 1 minute he's a lawyer and then the other minute he's like, you know, like he's like driving like, or like he's like driving like this limo, and he's working for like this tax company. And yeah, all of that stuff was really interesting, and this was based on a true story as well. And his chemistry with like Leslie Mann at the start of the movie, and then you meet Ewan McGregor's character. I found all of that stuff really interesting here. And yeah, I really just liked the blend between the crime, the romance, and the comedy aspects of the movie as well. And yeah, really well acted. You know, like there's one scene where you really see Ewan McGregor's character just really just pours his heart out. He really breaks down in one scene, and then Jim Carrey breaks down in one sequence. And yeah, that was just terrific acting there, as you would expect from both Jim Carrey and Ewan McGregor. And towards the end, the film had a couple of twists and turns that I didn't expect as well. I Love You, Philip Morris is a really interesting, very good film, that one. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10 too. A film that I haven't seen for the longest time, actually. Yeah, I have seen for a few times, but that is I Love You, Man. A rewatch of this film, and I have seen it a few times, but just haven't seen it for a long time. And yeah, I really like this one. Again, Rashida Jones, who played Karen in The Office US, and she was in that film with Bill Murray called On the Rocks, which I really enjoyed. I think Sofia Coppola directed that one, and I would say that film's very underrated, actually. That one doesn't get talked about a lot. And obviously, you know, you've got Jason Segel and Paul Rudd from, obviously, you know, like Knocked Up and The 40-Year-Old Virgin. So it was cool to see them in another film like this. And yeah, I just had a very good time with this one and rewatch as well. I love, obviously, you know, like both like best of friends in this movie, and their love for Rush was really interesting in there, and like music and stuff. And obviously it's kind of the build up to Paul Rudd's character's wedding in this movie with Rashida Jones's character. All of that stuff was really charming to this movie, and there was a couple really funny scenes as well, especially again kind of reminding me a little bit of The Office US, where there'd be scenes in the office with Paul Rudd's character, and you know, like when he gets a couple of phone calls and emails, and just reminded me so much of The Office US as well. So there was some of that humour that was very, you know, very much peppered into this movie as well. So yeah, great soundtrack as well. Really like the soundtrack to this one. So I Love You, Man, I'm going to give a 7 out of 10 too. I had a first time watch, continuing on with my American rom-com kick at the minute. And I watched for the first time No Hard Feelings with Jennifer Lawrence. The main guy in it, he was brilliant in this movie. And yeah, I can see why this movie gets a lot of love, guys. It is a pretty good movie, this one. Very interesting story, you know, Jennifer Lawrence, obviously, her life is on the line where, you know, she's under pressure with like her family home and her job and stuff. And and her car is about to get taken away as well, but in order to like get to work and stuff, she wants to hire out this car, but then she meets this couple, and then they're in agreement that she'll go out with with their son, and that tells a very interesting story to this one. And there was a couple really laugh out loud moments. The scene when they're in the car, and then they're about to like head towards a train because they're like running away from this police car, and that, oh my god, that scene on the beach as well when Jennifer Lawrence goes absolute karate, you know, against this gang as well. Just really funny stuff. And that piano rendition of Manny was really good to this movie as well. And yeah, it's definitely the best American rom-com we've had in a little while as well. I can definitely agree with a lot of people with that one as well. And it's just got a lot of charm to it. One I can see myself returning to again in future. Yeah, No Hard Feelings, I'm going to give a 7.5 out of 10 to. And next up, another movie that I haven't seen for absolute years, and I've been meaning to go back and rewatch this movie, but just somehow I just haven't got round to it. And I thought to myself, it was 3 months since I rewatched Star Trek, the 2009 reboot, you know, making my way through the Star Trek film series, and I've only got Star Trek Beyond to revisit, and then I'm all complete on the Star Trek movies with a rewatch of Star Trek Beyond. And yeah, after absolute years, I decided to go back and revisit Star Trek Into Darkness, which I've seen a few times. I actually, you know, I remember going to the cinema to see this one on release day, and I remember watching it again with my brother at the cinema as well. So I've seen this twice at the cinema when it originally came out, and I've seen it a few times. For the longest time, it was my favourite Star Trek movie, but however, I might even do a Star Trek film ranking, you know, so I might reveal that what my favourite Star Trek film is until I potentially do that ranking video. But Star Trek Into Darkness, great, love this one. Definitely a kind of a modern day version of The Wrath of Khan, but still done very well here, you know, Benedict Cumberbatch as you know, this mean-spirited character, you know, obviously I think it's a different name, but then there's obviously the identity of Khan in there as well was very interesting, and how it kind of sets afoot this real danger for the Enterprise crew, and how it kind of affects Kirk and Spock as well, and you know, Scotty and Bones and all them, McCoy and all them characters. And, you know, at the start, the opening sequence with the planet as well, and Spock is near on high alert and stuff, was a very interesting way to kickstart the movie. But yeah, Benedict Cumberbatch, when you see what his character is capable of Khan in this movie, and, you know, set at this futuristic London, was just yeah, brilliant to watch, and then obviously the Enterprise crew are assigned to go back to like their headquarters because of like this news break. It was just, yeah, brilliant stuff to this movie, and you know, like there's a couple of characters departure in this movie, and obviously Jim Kirk takes on the forefront of this new like task to like interview like Khan and learn what his character is capable of and why Khan is doing these drastic things. It was so interesting, and yeah, the final act is really good to this one as well, and just another fantastic installment into the Star Trek film series. And the direction again here from J.J. Abrams is really good as far as modern day Star Trek movies go as well. And all the cast and crew are having a great time in this movie, and they do wonders for this like modern day telling of Star Trek as well. So Star Trek Into Darkness, I'm going to give an 8 out of 10 to. Then I had a first time watch of a TV movie I discovered through Nige at Rock Gods 2004, and that is Dark Knight of the Scarecrow. Yeah, really enjoyed this one. This was very good. The latest 88 films release that I picked up on Blu-ray, and yeah, I had a very good time with this one. You know, like you absolutely feel for Bubba's character at the start, and you know, being mistreated as well. He really is innocent, but you know, things just go against his way, and then you know, there's kind of a little bit of injustice, you know, like midway through the movie, and then you see like Bubba's character and obviously his loved ones are kind of like, they're seeking justice, but then there's kind of a bit of revenge that happens in this movie when you don't expect it. And yeah, it's really interesting. It's a bit of a slow burn. There was times where it took a bit of a while for this movie to get to gear and stuff, but when the movie gets to gear and stuff, and it gets to what like you know, like kind of like the sort of the dark and brooding aspects of the movie that's very much enhanced and captured in this movie. It makes for a very good like TV movie, this one, and yeah, like a couple of like brutal kills in there as well, and yeah, it's a really good TV drama, and the whole tension that arises in this movie is just so well written here. So yeah, Dark Knight the Scarecrow, I'm gonna give an 8 out of 10. And next up, I had a rewatch of potentially one of my most watched films ever, and without any shadow of a doubt, one of like the best British movies I've ever seen, and that is Get Carter with Michael Caine. I will just say, yeah, I absolutely love this movie, and this is definitely like one of my favourite British films, because yeah, I have talked really highly of this film before as well. Like, but anyone who's new to my channel, yeah, like I just thought I'd mention this is definitely one of my favourite British movies, and this is just incredible. You know, like, you know, you really see the tragedy and the sort of the grieving that Jack Carter's character, Michael Caine's character Jack Carter, is like kind of got going through, you know, the way the film opens, and you kind of see like the look on his face, and you know, like in that music as well that's playing in the background, and he thinks, yeah, I need to do something about this, and then he decides to go to Newcastle and revisit loved ones, but also to find out more what's happened to like his brother Frank. Yeah, just wonderful. Great Sunday afternoon viewing. What Mike Hodges did with this film is brilliant, and yeah, just great sort of you know, British comfort movie that I absolutely adore as well. And Michael Caine absolutely firing all cylinders as well. Love the locations in Newcastle that's used in this as well. Great sort of like, has a great noir feel about it. So Get Carter, I fucking love this movie, guys. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. This film is fucking amazing. I love it. Continuing on with my American comedy binge, I watched Wedding Crashers for the first time. Yeah, for the longest time I've seen The Internship with Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson, which I would like to go back and revisit that one, to be fair. And yeah, I've never seen Wedding Crashers. I know this is Jordan's favourite comedy film of all time, I think. And I can see why Jordan absolutely loves this movie. This is just brilliant, you know, like from the get-go, you know, like obviously Owen Wilson and Vince Vaughn just have great banter and chemistry in this movie, and then, you know, like wanting to go to weddings, to flirt with the ladies, and yeah, it's probably a movie that might not get made today, but for taking it for what it is and kind of its time, it is a really fun movie, you know. Bradley Cooper's character is a little bit of a prick, I must admit. You really don't like his character all that much, but obviously, like, when a couple of the characters sort of like get their revenge, and that's really funny. Absolutely love Christopher Walken's character in this film as well. You know, I love like his dry sense of humour in this. Rachel McAdams is so much fun and has a very interesting side story with Owen Wilson in this film. And the girl played by Isla Fisher, there's always nagging on it. Vince Vaughn, I just found all of that stuff hysterical in this movie. And yeah, this film just has so much great stuff going on in it, and has a lot of charm to it as well. And again, for American comedy that does clock in for near 2 hours, it does fly by, and there's a lot of great stuff that happens in this as well. Wedding Crashers, I'm going to give an 8 out of 10 to. Then this film was recommended by Ash at Popcorn and Horror. Again, thank you so much, Ash, for recommending me this movie, because I had a very good time with this one, and that is Last Kiss, starring Zach Braff. And yeah, do want to check out more of Zach Braff's movies, and yeah, this was a really cool one. You know, like I really liked Zach Braff when you focus on his character at the start, and he's in a little bit of an unsatisfying relationship. Then he falls for this girl, and they have their own like side story, and yeah, it kind of makes for a very interesting sort of like comedy / drama. But there's also a couple of interesting side stories in this movie as well. One with I think it's Casey Affleck's character, and the other other side story that happens. It's not really an anthology movie as such, this, guys. There's just a couple of other things that happen in this movie that's quite interesting when you focus on a couple of other characters, but they're all in like the same premise and the same movie as well. But yeah, The Last Kiss, really enjoyed this one. Pretty cool soundtrack. The ending, I wasn't a big fan of the ending, no, I must admit. The way the film ended, I found a little bit abrupt, but still a very solid movie, and one I can see myself returning to. Yeah, and also yeah, a couple of quite quirky and funny moments in there as well. Like, there's a couple of scenes with a couple of like Zach Braff's friends in there, and they like banter. I really enjoyed that in this movie as well. And yeah, the scene at the start at this wedding reception was quite entertaining. So yeah, The Last Kiss, I'm gonna give a 7 out of 10 to. Very solid movie that. Along Came Polly, which is a film that I haven't seen again for absolute years, and just been on an American rom-com comedy kick at the minute. I thought I would go back in time and revisit this one as well. And yeah, really enjoyed this film as well. Very self-aware and knows what it's doing. And again, a movie that I think clocks in for like an hour and 20, but there's just so much packed into this movie, and it's very entertaining. You know, like, I love what's going on with Ben Stiller's character at the start, and then he finds out that his marriage just kind of isn't like all what it seems, but then he meets Jennifer Aniston's character Polly, and they're kind of like friends from way back when, and they have their own like reunion, and they have just fantastic chemistry in this movie. I am using the word chemistry a lot in this video today, guys. Massive apologies about that, sounding like a bit of a broken record here, but yeah, I love the like kind of like the cute ferrets in this movie as well. If cute is a thing for this ferret, I really don't know, but yeah, very whimsical, you know, off-the-wall sort of comedy that I just get a lot of enjoyment out of. And yeah, Philip Seymour Hoffman's character is hysterical in this movie as well, guys. I love Philip Seymour as an actor, but in these comedies, he's just so much fun as well to watch. You know, he brings a lot of charisma, a lot of joy to the movie, and this is no exception here. And yeah, this is just a really entertaining movie, this one, and the whole sequence with the buffet and the like the dance club as well, just really great highlights to that film. And obviously the scene with the bathroom sequence is hysterical. Yeah, Along Came Polly, I'm gonna give a 7 out of 10 to. Again, another movie that I haven't seen for absolute years, and just decided to go back and revisit this one. And I've only seen it the once, this movie, to be fair, and I decided to rewatch Just My Luck with Lindsay Lohan and Chris Pine. And yeah, this is not great, I must admit. It is a little bit dated now, and it is a little bit corny, very predictable as well. And you know, like, again, there is a little bit of, you know, sloppy sort of, you know, like cheesy, but kind of, there's a couple of scenes that kind of cringe as well. The comedy doesn't always land in this movie. You know, there was a lot of the movie that I didn't really laugh all that much. You know, it wasn't a really laugh out loud sort of comedy. But I must admit, taking it for what it is, with its concepts of, you know, like one person having all the good luck in the world and one character that having all the bad luck in the world, and the two things just meets each other during the movie, it makes for a pretty interesting concept. And I did like the whole stuff with McFly in this movie as well. Not so big into McFly's music, I must admit, but McFly did make a great impression on this film and this story, I must admit. And yeah, I think it was just a nice, like, light-hearted, just sort of fluffy, sort of, you know, like cheesy, tongue-in-cheek sort of film that I kind of had an entertaining time revisiting this one, and the soundtrack was not too bad to this movie as well. And there's a lot of recognisable like actors in this one as well, I must admit. And yeah, but definitely can see why this film isn't going to be for everyone. I totally get that, guys. And to be honest, it's not great and it's not particularly good, but I think taking it for what it is, it's just one of them 2000s rom-coms by numbers. It's got 2000s all over it, but taking it for what it is, it's not a bad little movie, this one. The ending was very predictable, as I kind of expected, but not a bad little movie, this one. If you're not in the mood for something that's a bit more serious and heavy going, then this is the sort of movie to definitely like check out and stuff. If you want something to just a bit more like chilled out and a bit light-hearted, then yeah, this is definitely one of those movies that's just a very easy watching, sort of like leave your brain out at the door sort of movie, this one. So yeah, just my luck, I'll give a 6 out of 10 to. I might be being a bit kind on that one, but yeah, not a bad movie, guys. It's a nice little movie, that one. Then could be another hot take, and it kills me to say this because I absolutely love Akira Kurosawa. I did pick up the BFI 4K double set of this. I am yet to check out Sanjuro, and maybe that film I'll get a lot more enjoyment out of it. But yeah, I watched Yojimbo for the first time, and I was slightly disappointed with this movie, guys. I can't lie. I didn't love this movie as much as I wanted to. I just felt there was some moments that kind of just wavered on a little bit, that were just a bit plodding. And yeah, there was a couple scenes that just dragged on a little bit, in my opinion, but I was a little bit disappointed, but I think I overhyped it a little bit for myself there. However, it was a movie I did really like for the most part. I can at least say it was a movie I did really like for the most part. It just wasn't on the level of Seven Samurai or Akira or Ran or Dreams or High and Low and even Stray Dog, which I got a lot more enjoyment out of as well. But it's a film I'm just going to probably sit on a little while, and, you know, I might change my opinion on it. But for right now, yeah, I didn't really connect with this film as much as I wanted to. However, the score was amazing, as you would expect in a Akira Kurosawa film. The cinematography was great, as you would expect in a Akira Kurosawa film. The action set pieces was great, as you would expect in a Akira Kurosawa film. So all these great ingredients and all these great aspects that I really admire in a Akira Kurosawa movie, and I can give this film, again, props to it, but just a movie that wasn't love at first sight. But it's still an important movie for being a big inspiration on the Dollars trilogy with Fistful of Dollars. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and watch Fistful of Dollars for the first time, and maybe that will kind of give me the urge to go back and revisit that movie. Fistful of Dollars, I no doubt in my mind I'll end up really liking. No, but yeah, wasn't love at first sight, but still a lot to admire in this movie, guys. You know, the main lead character was still really cool and really badass in this movie, and the music and the samurai action sequences was dynamite in this movie, but just wasn't a love at first sight movie. But like the Seven Samurai and like the Rashomon, I did really grow to love them movies on subsequent viewings. So hopefully I will appreciate this film a lot more on second viewing. But I'm still glad to say I can still say I really liked this movie, just not as much as I hoped for. So yeah, Rashomon, sorry, I already talked about that one. Yojimbo, I'm going to give a 7.5 out of 10 to. Yeah, didn't love this one, I must admit, but hopefully on subsequent viewing, hopefully I will appreciate this one a lot more. Another kind of big comedy for the first time, and I watched There's Something About Mary. Yeah, we were talking about this one on the Monday night live stream. By the time this video comes out, this was last week. We were talking about this one, and yeah, I really had a good time with this one. Absolutely was in hysterics with the whole zipper sequence at the start of the movie was hysterical, and this mean dog that went AWOL and on like Ben Stiller's character, and you know what this dog was capable of. It was hilarious, and actually the scene where Matt Dillon tries to like rescue and save this dog as well. Hilarious stuff. But the characters were really interesting here, and you know, like kind of the main premise that surrounds Mary in this movie was really just interesting to this one, you know, learning about Mary's character, but also Ben Stiller's character's sort of like love for, you know, like his sort of like romance with Mary, and obviously then you have Matt Dillon's character who falls in love for Mary, and then Lee Evans in there as well. Great to see Lee Evans in this movie as well, actually. And yeah, it's a pretty good movie, this one. You know, some really cool like laugh out loud moments, but just a very interesting story, and you know, had a lot of charm to it. And I did like the whole like in and out sort of sequences where there's these two guys that was singing these songs about Mary's character, and like certain aspects of the movie I found that pretty entertaining as well. So yeah, there's something about Mary I'm gonna give a 7.5 out of 10 to. Very enjoyable movie, that one. And then I got the Second Sight 4K edition of Scanners, which is a brilliant body horror movie, and very ahead of its time as well. Like, you know, there wasn't any other movie like it at the time, but yeah, a very interesting like experimental movie where these sort of life forms in this film and what they're capable of with these telepathic and abilities and powers as well, and what this means for like humanity in the future going forward, and people that've got these special powers, and they kind of like are you know, like sort of like tracked down by this corporation because they're like kind of worried about like their future. It tells for a very interesting like a film, this, but also it's kind of did remind me a lot of Blade Runner, considering this movie also came out before Blade Runner as well. But great practical effects in this movie. Absolutely love that like the scene with the record shop as well, and so many recognizable album covers. Prime example for myself is XTC's Drums and Wires. Great to see that movie, that album get like a bit of love in this movie as well. And yeah, I do love the whole cat and mouse chase in this film as well, between like these telepathic life forms that are kind of like rivaling off each other, but you kind of learn more about this programming and this corporation, and this main Doctor as well made a very interesting side character and addition to the story as well, and this lady in there as well. Yeah, very interesting stuff. But yeah, great 4K transfer as well on this disc as well from Second Sight, and yeah, that ending is very it has a very claustrophobic feel about it, and it just goes to show you know, like how drastic things can turn out with this experiment, but also what these life forms in this film are like capable of as well, with like these telepathic powers and abilities that you know, can do some like damage like when they want to. So yeah, Scanners, fantastic body horror film from David Cronenberg. I'm going to give this one a 7.5 out of 10 too. Then I had another rewatch of a film. Again, I've only seen the once, and that was absolute years ago now. So it was about fine time I gave this one another viewing, and I bought the Blu-ray of this one very recently, and that is Take This Waltz with Seth Rogen and Michelle Williams. And yeah, I was trying to think of like movies that I fancied picking up on Blu-ray and I'm fond of and I haven't seen for the longest time, and this being one of them. And yeah, really enjoyed this one again on rewatch. You know, this was the first time I've seen this in like over 10 years, and would make a good like pairing with the film Blue Valentine, which also stars Michelle Williams as well, and I think that came out around the similar time as well. And yeah, brilliant performances from Seth Rogen and Michelle Williams. Seth Rogen's character that's got his own like business that is like with chicken cookbook. Michelle Williams's character, who's a bit of a lost soul, and she doesn't really know where she sees herself in like years time, but she kind of wants to find herself again and get back on track and lands back on her feet. And then she meets this guy abroad and they have like their own like sort of like side story, and that was really interesting here. But yeah, just some nice like filmmaking sort of style to this movie with the blue colour palette, and you know, like the scene with like these rides as well. I really liked that. And yeah, the scenes by the lighthouse was really interesting as well. And yeah, this is a really beautiful little film, this one, that's got you know, got some really great emotional like aspects to it as well, and you know, like showing like what this relationship is about and how it's affecting one character to the next, and who do they desire the most. And that was, yeah, a really interesting story to this one. Take This Waltz, I'm going to give a 7 out of 10 to. Very good film, that. Second to last one now, and I went with a film that was recommended by Ollie, and I actually discovered through Ollie's channel as well. Well, Ollie did talk about this one on the Monday night live stream. I think it was a couple of weeks ago. And it's one that's not as easy to track down on like physical media, and I just looked if it was on any streaming or on YouTube and stuff. So yeah, and it was there on long behold on like YouTube, and I checked out The Spectacular Now. Wow, this was such a great little film. This was, yeah, I absolutely loved this. Like I say, I didn't know about this movie till Ollie talked about it on his channel, and this was just really good. Just reminded me a lot of films like Perks of Being a Wallflower and Garden State as well. It was just a really good like coming of age drama. Miles Teller and Shailene Woodley were absolutely amazing in both of the lead roles. Great to see Bob Odenkirk in this as well. You know, I would have liked to see more Bob Odenkirk in this film, but when he did appear on screen, it was really good to see Bob Odenkirk in this movie. Jennifer Jason Leigh was excellent as well. And yeah, I must admit, I'm still processing what to think about like the ending, because yeah, the ending, I must admit, I was a little bit unsure of, I must admit, but it's not to take away from this film. And yeah, this one definitely needs a Blu-ray release. Someone like Criterion, I think, could do a really nice reissue of this, or like first time Blu-ray release of this. Yeah, The Spectacular Now was really good, guys. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. And the last one for the month of March, and a cinema trip. I went to the cinema yesterday to go and see this. It was at the View Cinema in Cramlington, and that film is Black Bag. Yeah, it took me a little bit of a while to get round to watching this one, and it was really cool, actually. Yeah, really interesting, you know, like story, you know, espionage, like spy thriller, kind of a whodunit sort of thing. And there's this leaked file, and you know, like and any information that's leaked, and basically any of this like top secret like information that's been passed on to someone else that you know, that corporation is not sure of. Michael Fassbender, you know, he's really on the ball with this. He kind of discovers secrets along the way that he never knew about, you know, like this leaked file that has come afoot, and you know, like it was a really cool movie. You know, I loved the dinner party sequence at the start of the movie. That was a really cool way to open up the movie. There was some great again, just the way the film was choreographed through like a diary with like Monday to Sunday. I thought that was really well done. And it was a great like whodunit sort of like take on this espionage spy thriller. And all the whole interview sequences were really good in this movie as well. And the acting was really solid. You know, Michael Fassbender, Kate Blanchett, and the other guy, I forget what the actor's name, but he's been in a couple of other really good things as well. And then the other actress did a really good job in there. And also Pierce Brosnan, great to see Pierce Brosnan like in this as well. So yeah, Black Bag was a very good time at the cinema, and I quite liked the sort of lo-fi score to this one as well. I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10. So guys, those are all the movies I have watched in the month of March. Do let me know, guys, have you seen any of these movies? What's your thoughts on them? Do you plan on checking any of these movies out? And have you got any movies you're looking forward to watching in the month of April? I would love to know all of that good stuff in the comments down below. And just want to take the time, as always, guys, to say thanks so much for all of your continuous support on the channel. I really, really do appreciate it. Really good stuff. And also, it was a great live stream on Ollie's channel last night with myself, Ollie, Jodie and Pete at Pedro's Movie Cavern. Really great live stream with the quiz night, and yeah, really entertaining that. And it was a nice like film chat afterwards as well. And yep, looking forward to the next Monday night's live stream as well. So thanks for watching, cheers for stopping by, and until next time, I'll see you for the next video. Bye bye.